Hello, I'm David Kerr, and you're watching Shalom World News. Here's your latest news headlines from around the globe. A public statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary has been beheaded in the Canadian city of Toronto. The Marian figure, which stands outside the Maronite parish of Our Lady of Lebanon, was attacked in the early hours of Sunday morning. The city's police force have released a security camera image of the suspect, who they say carried out the act of sacrilege at 3:15 a.m. Communicating via Facebook, the parish community expressed their horror at, quote, a senseless and scandalous act of profanation. They also say they are praying that the person responsible repents of their actions. Meanwhile, the city's Archbishop, Cardinal Thomas Collins, offered Holy Mass at St Michael's Cathedral in solidarity with the parishioners of Our Lady of Lebanon. The parish themselves will offer their public prayers of reparation on Sunday. Last year saw Scotland record its second highest number of abortions since the procedure was legalised in 1967. That's according to new official statistics published in recent days. In total, there were 13,583 unborn lives ended by abortion in Scotland last year. That's the highest figure on record since 2008. The figures also reveal a considerably higher abortion rate in poorer areas of the country. They also show a continuing rise in unborn children with chromosomal abnormalities, such as Down syndrome, being aborted. The Catholic Church in Scotland has described the statistics as, quote, deeply depressing. To the US now, where the Archbishop of San Francisco is urging the city's civil authorities to ease restrictions on the public celebration of Holy Mass. Currently, Mass in the Californian city may be celebrated only outdoors and with only 12 attendees. Now, Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone has written to the city's mayor and health officials to point out that such rules mean that going to Mass is being treated as, quote, less important than a trip to the hardware store or a nice dinner out on the patio. The Archbishop states that the denial of access to safe outdoor public worship is a serious deprivation of Catholics' rights as Americans under the First Amendment to the country's Constitution. He also highlights that public worship is currently allowed with far fewer restrictions in most other towns and cities across the United States, without any outbreaks of COVID-19 being recorded. The city of San Francisco had initially declared that public worship could resume on June the 15th, but 4 days before that, it imposed the attendance and outdoor-only rules after an increase in COVID-19 cases. Pope Francis has announced a universal day of prayer and fasting for Lebanon to take place on Friday, September the 4th. The Holy Father made his announcement at this week's general audience at the Vatican. Lebanon is currently undergoing one of its worst economic crises in its history, with nearly half of its 6 million population now living below the poverty line. That situation has been exacerbated in recent months by the COVID-19 pandemic and August's devastating blast in the capital city of Beirut, which killed at least 178 people. Pope Francis noted that even in the darkest period of Lebanon's history, quote, the Lebanese people maintained their faith in God and proved capable of making their land a place of tolerance, respect and coexistence. The Holy Father encouraged the Lebanese people to continue to strengthen themselves through the power of prayer. The bishops of Poland say there is no contradiction between rejecting LGBT ideology while respecting people who identify as homosexual or suffer from gender dysphoria. That's the conclusion of a 27-page document published by the bishops following a 3-day conference held at the Jasna Gora monastery in the southern city of Czestochowa last week. In its pages, the bishops denounce all forms of violence against people identifying as LGBT. They also restate their opposition to all forms of gender ideology. The document also endorses the creation of counselling centres to, quote, help people wishing to regain their sexual health and natural sexual orientation. On average, there has been one reported attack against a place of worship in Northern Ireland every 3 days for the past 5 years. That's according to new figures obtained under Freedom of Information by the Christian lobby group Care Northern Ireland. The figures relate to criminal damage inflicted upon religious buildings, churchyards or cemeteries in the 6 counties that make up Northern Ireland. The most affected area is the city of Belfast. Care Northern Ireland are now calling for a protective security funding scheme to be established, which would provide financial resources to help places of worship purchase items such as security cameras, fencing and lighting. A similar scheme is already up and running in England and Wales. Finally, November's General Assembly of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops will be held virtually rather than in person due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That decision comes after consultation with the Holy See and the bishops of the US who voted on the matter. The agenda for the meeting will be finalised later this month. Well, that's all for now. Do join me next time on Shalom World News for some more headlines from across the globe. Until then, may God bless you. Shalom.